So, with the 14th series of Doctor Who now having come to a close, time for me to rank all 7 stories. Now, I know there's 8 episodes, but given that the last 2 episodes made up one story, I'm choosing to rank it 7 rankings from the weakest up to the best. This is just my ranking, it doesn't have to be yours, but this is how I would personally rank the 7 stories that made up Doctor Who Season 1 or Series 14. Bringing up the rear, we've got the first episode of this particular series, Space Babies. Now, I've watched through this episode twice now, and maybe there are going to be people out there who enjoy this particular story. I admit, if I look at it kind of objectively or subjectively, it's probably not that bad. The only thing that kind of holds it back for me for the 2 times I've seen it is that I don't necessarily mind the space babies being there, that's fine, but the bogeyman, for me, the bogeyman is where this episode falls flat, because whenever I see this thing get a movie about, I know that it's not truly evil, but to me it just makes me feel slightly nauseated, so that for me is why Space Babies comes in at the bottom. I'm sure it's actually a decent episode, the only thing is, to me, it makes me feel slightly sick, so that's just how it is for me. And coming in at number 6, we have episode 5 from this particular series, Dot and Bubble. Now, as I said in my review of it, well, from what you could hear of it, because I remember when I did that particular review, I wasn't feeling very well. I was going through a cold. And I remember my big criticism about Dot and Bubble was that if I looked at it from a subjective viewpoint, the episode was probably very good. But if I looked at it objectively, along with everything else, I wasn't sure if I could get past my initial disdain for the characters. And I get them that you're kind of supposed to hate them. I just wasn't sure if it entirely worked for me. But that's just it. I mean, those are the only 2 episodes from Series 14 that I think I actively dislike. The rest of them I thought were all great. So coming in at number 5, 1 spot above Dot and Bubble, we have episode 2, The Devil's Cord. To me, I thought Jinx Monsoon did a great job here as the villain Maestro. I was really glad that it wasn't just at that point another incarnation of the Master. They managed to do some really fun stuff with their control over music itself, and it ends with a banger of a tune, so you know what, for me, The Devil's Cord comes in at number 5. And I would also say it's probably my personal favourite or my guilty pleasure choice of this season. And people are going to say, well, if it's your personal favourite, then why are you ranking it so low? Other episodes were better. I gained more entertainment for myself out of this episode than I possibly do the others, but other episodes in this series were better. So, moving from my personal favourite story up to number 4, I would put 73 Yards, i.e. episode 4. For a light episode, as I said, Dot and Bubble was also a light episode, but I think of the 2 light episodes of this particular season, 73 Yards I did think was the strong one. I do hope we get to see more of Aneurin Barnard's Roger Apgar William, but for what they managed to do with him in this series, I think they did very well. It's also a great story showing off Millie Gibson's acting ability. Okay, she has to effectively carry the whole story by herself while Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor is missing, and I think they did a really good job. As I said, when I watched it through, it kind of reminded me of the Sarah Jane Adventure story, The Curse of Clyde Langer. They managed to do some really good stuff with existential dread, and I think this episode was a great choice of that. Narrowly misses out on the medals, though. Coming in at number 3, i.e. bronze place for this particular season, I would put in the finale story, The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death. If you're going to bring back a Doctor Who villain or a Doctor Who monster, doing it right at the end, that's a great way to do it. They brought back a classic villain with Sutekh. They made the 2 episodes really tense, and I did my review earlier today of Empire of Death. Definitely check that out if you get the chance, but for me, The Legend of Ruby Sunday just misses out on Silver Spot, but at the same time, they managed to do a great series finale with this, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Coming in at number 2, just missing out on the gold medal, we've got the 3rd episode, Boom. I know some people will probably rank this as their number one when they do their own rankings, but for me, Boom for a while was top in my ranking. I didn't know that Stephen Moffat was coming back, so to have him back in the writer's chair for this particular story, I felt it was a great job, and thought it fitted great in with Moffat's previous pre-showrunner days, like The Empty Child, Blink, The Girl in the Fireplace, and Silence in the Library. I felt this slotted right in there. Had a great sense of tension, and you didn't even really need didn't really need a villain for this one, and they pulled it off great. But it's not quite my number one, because if you haven't worked it out, my number one best episode of Series 14 for me was episode 6, Rogue. They brought back Indira Varma back into the Doctor Who fold, giving her a brand new character. They had a great Georgian atmosphere with this particular story, and they introduced one of my favourite new characters into Doctor Who, Jonathan Groff as Rogue. I really hope we get to see Rogue again someday, but you know what? For the time being at least, Rogue was my number one Doctor Who story for Series 14. I felt it was a great episode, and that's why it narrowly beat out Boom to be my number one. What does your ranking of Series 14 look like? Let me know down below in the comments. Anyway, until next time, see ya.